Hi there. This is Jean Roman with For Dragonflies and Me. Thanks so much for joining me at this week's podcast. As always, I'm super excited to be here, sharing gardening, cooking, organizational tips and tricks, discussions on healthy lifestyles, and of course, having conversations with incredible entrepreneurs. Well, like many of my guests, today's guest and I met over 7 years ago while I was running the Dearborn Farmers and Artisans Market. She was the owner and one of the instructors at a local yoga studio. Over the years, she offered several free yoga sessions at the farmers market, which was such an incredible addition to the programming we already had. I truly believe farmers markets provide an alternative to the typically processed foods we are accustomed to getting in grocery stores. Locally grown and produced items are generally fresher and healthier. Adding yoga was simply a no-brainer. While market attendees come to the market for fresh fruits and veggies, along with artisan crafted products, her yoga sessions brought more people seeking that type of lifestyle. She is an RYT 500 IP, Reiki Master, iRest level, founder and owner of Inner Sage, the studio, the shop, the lifestyle. In 2010, she was working in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Michigan and had just completed her 200-hour yoga teacher training. Deeply drawn to a personal practice, she found her true calling as a yoga guide. It was during that time she began exploring Reiki and has since received a master level attunement. In November of 2017, she was ready to pursue her 500-hour RYT and completed that advanced training in April of 2021. As her interest as a practitioner evolved, she discovered the next step in her personal journey. In the fall of 2021, she began graduate school, working towards her MSW at Wayne State University. And now I'd like to introduce you to my friend, Jamie Garrison, founder and owner of Inner Sage, the studio, the shop, the lifestyle in Ferndale, Michigan. Welcome, Jamie.
Hi, Judy. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, you are
I
so
can't
welcome.
believe it's been 7 years since we've met.
Oh, I know. I know. When you stop and think back to those first days when I started in Dearborn, I have built so many incredible relationships, and now even, now that I've left Dearborn, here I am still having those relationships, which I could not be more grateful for. But I really am excited to chat with you today about what motivated you to develop and create Inner Sage. But first, I want to say thank you again for being here. I know how busy you are with work and family.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Aw. Okay, well, Jamie, let's get rolling. To get started, I'd love for you to share with my listeners a bit about yourself and how you started your business.
Yeah, so when I think about the beginning of the studio, which a decade ago was Yoga Shala. So that's when you and I met. It was
Yeah.
branded under Yoga Shala, offering, yoga classes here in Dearborn, actually in Dearborn Heights to begin with. And
Oh, okay.
then yeah, and then that began, I was a new mother, Jean. I, just had my first son. I began teaching yoga during my first pregnancy. And gosh, even 10 years ago, there weren't many yoga studios around as there are today. So I was
Yeah.
driving, out to, Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, to teach yoga classes, and everybody locally, friends and family, was just really craving another space to practice at. So that was how Yogashala evolved into a small studio space in Dearborn Heights, and then expanded to the most recent space that we know of in the studio, which was in Dearborn on Michigan Avenue.
Okay. Well, that's exciting. Yeah, the growth and how things develop, eh? But with all that being said, I would love for you to share with my audience, what inspired you to start Inner Sage, Yoga Shala, and its and how its recent transformation occurred.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, over the, past decade offering yoga, I expanded offerings to, energy work, body work, Reiki, Thai massage, herbal supplements, so everything just evolved. It's not a linear practice, right? So,
Okay.
health and wellness, has a lot of different areas, to branch out to.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
yeah, and so it was, right before the pandemic, I started to think about rebranding to incorporate, everything that we were doing at the studio, which was also lifestyle changing, going on retreat, really dropping into, exploring oneself. One of my quotes I, say to my students is to be your own guru, right? So to
Oh, I
listen to
love
your
that.
intuition. Yeah, yeah. So, there's very inspiring things out there, but we need to listen to our inner voice. And so offering that space and opportunity for people to grow in that way. And I was doing that within the business. So during the pandemic and the closure, I, updated my website. I worked with a designer, and I, came up with Inner Sage, kind of going back to that be your own guru, right?
I love it. I
Be
love
your
it.
own
I'm
inner
going to use that
sage.
quote
And
for, I'm
yeah,
going to use that quote when I do the blog post, because I always put a quote, but if I can get a quote from somebody, that's even better. But yeah, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. So, Inner Sage came about from being your own guru. And so, Inner Sage, the studio, the shop, and the lifestyle. So, the studio obviously is the yoga component. The shop, I'll explain in a moment. And then lifestyle is just really taking all those extra modalities, outside of yoga for that inner healing,
Mm-hmm.
peace, resilience, and things like that, which I think we all had to tap into during the pandemic. Um, the shop came about. It's something that I don't think I would have done had the pandemic not happened. I, closed my studio for 11 months due to the executive orders here in Michigan.
I remember
And
that. I remember when you were fighting to, be considered an essential. I remember us chatting during that time.
absolutely, it was really frustrating to be one of the first industries to close and the last industries to open when, bars, casinos were open, yet a
Yeah.
healing space such as yoga, gyms were open, but I couldn't open my yoga studio because it was considered group fitness.
Yeah. So
Um,
frustrating.
and right. So, we, did offer online classes, which was a wonderful way to stay connected to the community
Hmm.
um, and to our members. And that's also how this came about. So while everybody was home, folks, my clients asked me, how do we make our homes feel like the studio?
Mm.
And yeah, and I never wanted to contribute to consumerism. I never thought I would be involved with retail. I carried, some yoga props, some crystals at the studio, but I really kept it minimal. But when folks were at home and they wanted to create that sacred space within their home, and I believe our home should be our sacred space, um, I began sourcing for my clients, sage, crystals, aesthetically pleasing items, and very purposeful sourced items, right? So I'm very
Right.
particular where I'm sourcing these items from. And that kind of snowballed when retail opened in the summer of 2020. I did a few pop ups over at Rust Belt Market in Ferndale, which is like an
Yeah.
indoor artisan market.
Yeah. I'm
Yep.
familiar with it.
And
It's a cool
I
space.
it's yeah, it's fantastic right there on the corner of Woodward and 9.
Hmm.
Um, I was very successful there. So I continued to book pop-up weekends through the holiday season in 2020. And I've got to say, it was around this time, it was a couple days before Christmas in 2020, where I saw my current space in Ferndale. There was a for lease sign,
Oh my
and I called
gosh.
the yeah, I called the landlord that day. We met I believe it was Christmas Eve in the afternoon. We met, and
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
started renovations right after the new year. So now I have a metaphysical shop in Ferndale, Inner Sage, the shop, and just really expanded upon the purposeful, aesthetically pleasing. And we support a lot of local artists. So, like,
That's awesome.
majority of our jewelry is from local artisans. Yeah. So, just kind of like how the farmers market supporting
Hmm.
artists, entrepreneurs, you know, being kind of a stepping stone in that regard.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so awesome. And, it's when we can, help those other entrepreneurs, and your shop is beautiful. Dragonfly listeners, Jamie's website will be available on this podcast. We will list that at the end, and then also at my blog and on Facebook. But Jamie, your shop is just stunning. I mean, it is so beautiful. Just the pictures online, I'm sure don't do it justice, and they are incredible. So many people can find a true sense of inner peace and a new wisdom for life, once they start practicing yoga and other types of meditative practices, which you offer. And I know, we've joked around in the past, I'm too hyper for yoga. I think there's that rage yoga that I've mentioned before. I think I would be good for that. But I do believe there is a place, even for me, to just take a deep breath and relax. Both of us, our lives can get so hectic with work and kids and their schedules, as you well know, with your two beautiful boys, trying to find that time, to have that quiet reprieve can just be daunting. And when I think back to, during the pandemic and you offering those, online classes to still participate and helping people to find that, that sacred space in their home, that's an incredible step for you. And what a testimony that your clients can give to you that, you provided that for them. And I'm sure now my listeners would love to know more about your products and services, and especially any online options. So can you share with my listeners what types of products and services Inner Sage offers?
Yes, absolutely. So, the shop, we already touched on that briefly. We have, aesthetically pleasing items such as, crystals, geodes, home decor, but all, like, beautiful amethyst mirrors. You know, I believe we have the most tumbled stones in the area from what I'm hearing from my customers and feedback. So if you're interested in, any type of rock, gem, mineral, we have hundreds and hundreds of those, jewelry. So just really nice, purposeful items. And it's been, amazing to be a part of, the holiday season once again and helping people give for themselves and for others. Um, Yoga, you and I were speaking, before the podcast this morning, the lease at the Dearborn space was, um, uh, last month was the very last month of the lease. And so I am transitioning back to online classes for now. I am looking for another yoga space for a brick and mortar, but my vision for offering yoga has shifted a little bit. And instead of having a large studio space, I am shifting towards a healing center. So
Oh,
on
I
the
love
horizon,
that.
yes, it'll be small group yoga, and I am having my eyes open, and there's a few possibilities of a space where small group yoga, where we can also offer online classes, but then rooms for practitioners like massage therapists, mental health therapists, body workers, Reiki, um, acupuncture, things like that. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop for healing.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I am starting to launch more online classes since I don't have a physical space right now. And I've seen several of my members and clients who became dear friends throughout the past decade out in the community recently saying, "Oh, Jamie, my body really hurts without practicing." And
Oh,
so I am gonna start offering some online classes. So keep an eye out for that. That'll be on our website and on our socials. But yeah, there's lots of changes and expansion on the horizon at Inner Sage.
well, that sounds so super exciting. And I am sure, knowing you, that everything is going to be a thoughtful process where each step that you will take will be the direction that you should go. And I truly believe that. And I know my listeners, are all over the country, and some are outside of the country as well. I know I have listeners in Ireland and a lot in Canada. But I think offering the online options are going to really be beneficial for, people that may be interested in working with you that are obviously not local. But with that being said, tell everyone listening how they could register for any of your classes and anything online that they can purchase. Give them a little direction, please.
Absolutely. So my, big project within the next couple weeks and into the new year is expanding our e-commerce. I am, wish it was ready for the holiday season, but being in grad school and everything else, life, right?
Yes.
But we do have some of our products on our website, which will be listed. I'm sure, Jean, you'll have that listed in
Yes.
the podcast. Yep, innersagelife.com. And on our website, you can click on the studio, the shop, and the lifestyle. So the studio page will give folks access to our yoga classes, which within the near future will be all virtual, so we can practice across the country together, across the world.
That's awesome.
The second tab, the shop, will give information about our location in Ferndale, as well as our e-commerce and online products. And then the lifestyle will have information about our upcoming yoga retreat in Costa Rica,
Oh,
upcoming
wow.
Reiki training. Yep, we have, this will be my 8th time going to Costa Rica, 3rd time leading retreat. Reiki training, and then yoga teacher training coming up as well. So I will sublease space until I find my own and continue to organize and lead trainings.
Oh, Jamie, that sounds so exciting. Oh my goodness, that's so awesome. So when will you be going to Costa Rica?
So that'll be the first week in March, March 5th through the 12th. Um, it's at a beautiful retreat center in Puerto Viejo, which is the southernmost point of the Caribbean side of Costa
Oh,
Rica. And, friends always joke, they're like, you keep on going back there. This is my 8th time going back to Costa Rica. My kids have been with me 3 times. They went on retreat last year with me, and then a couple
oh.
family trips. Um, they're expecting to come with me again in March. It's kind of like,
But are they?
I think so.
Oh, okay. That's
um,
awesome. So now, and I'm presuming, is this, oh, I guess I shouldn't be presuming, but okay, let me rather ask, is this only for yoga instructors or is this open to the public? Like I could go and,
this is open to the absolutely. Yep.
oh, okay.
Yep.
And this,
This is open.
oh,
Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
No, 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 you go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah. So this retreat is designed for everybody and anybody. We offer a yoga class every morning. There are dozens and dozens of excursions. I mean,
Oh my
anywhere from
gosh.
bird watching, hiking in the rainforest, surfing, all types of different activities, zip lining. So folks who want to be a little bit more adventurous and athletic, all the way to folks that want a more relaxing, tranquil experience. There is something for everybody. It is the most magical place. And I'll tell a quick story. When I brought my children last year, it was a retreat we had planned for 2020 that I had to reschedule 4 times.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Hmm.
Organizing international travel during a pandemic is a lot, but we made it. We made it. And um, the second night we were there, I was putting the boys down to bed, and my oldest, he was really tearful, and I was like, "What's going on, buddy?" And
Oh,
he said, "I feel so grateful being here." He goes, "Everybody is so nice." He goes,
oh,
"People back home." He felt the love,
oh,
and the
Jamie,
thing
that's
about
so sweet.
it was beautiful. It was so sweet. And the thing is, it's like then when I realized, you know, going on retreat, you see things from a different lens,
Yes.
right? And
Different
you're able to
cultures.
open your eyes.
Yes.
Yes, into what's important. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in the day to day here. And so having that opportunity to let go and to drop inward, connect with that inner guru, um, is really a positive experience and something that, one can bring back into their lifestyle, back home, back in the
Oh,
States.
wow. That is incredible. And, I've met your boys several times, at the market and whatnot, and they are just such sweet boys. And, you've done a great job with them, Jamie. You're just such a kind soul. And I feel very fortunate to have met you. And I know you feel the same way. There's no coincidences in life. And I genuinely believe, everybody comes into your life for a specific reason. And, again, I'm very thankful that you have become somebody that I can speak to and chat with and call a friend. But I just want to say one more thing about the Costa Rica thing, or rather ask.
Yeah.
So this will be available on your website, or is this a separate website, or
Yes.
will it be a link?
Yep, it is. It is currently available on the website through the lifestyle tab.
Okay,
And
excellent.
I can send that specific link to you, Jane. Yeah.
Yeah, would you? Because
You want
I'd like to put
on
that,
the
yeah, I'll put that in the description of the podcast as well as the blog and on Facebook. I think this is incredible. So yeah, that's super cool. But you know, I would just like to say thank you again and for being here, and everybody listening to learn more about inner sage. Oh, you know what, Jamie? I am so sorry. I do want to ask you one more thing. Can you go into a little detail about your current endeavor at Wayne State University and your MSU I'm sorry, your master's in
MSW.
MSW, yeah. And how you are planning on utilizing that with inner sage.
100%. And it's funny because my younger sister just graduated from MSU with her nursing degree. And I kept on mixing it up, MSW, MSU. But
I'm like, that's not MSU.
We got it straight.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
So I am working on my master's of social work at Wayne State University. And this was a program I was accepted to 12 years ago. At the time, you could defer your enrollment for 1 year. And I had just bought my home. We were renovating. And then the next year, when I was going to enroll, after I deferred it, because life was too busy prior to kids, as if. And,
yeah.
and the following year, I was, pregnant with my first son. And I thought, maybe this isn't the time, and so here, fast forward a decade later, going through the pandemic. And I thought, this is my time to do this. So I, reapplied and started a year and a half ago. And, what I found, Jean, teaching yoga is that a lot of my clients, most people come to their mat with their stuff, right? And a lot of clients, have come to me for, what I felt like was more mental health advice. And although I can be a friend and a guide and a mentor and a coach, there's some areas where I wasn't qualified to be of service. And so that's where the social work and the therapy component came into, just my vision of what I would like to offer. And that's where the healing center is coming into place. So during the course of offering yoga teacher trainings as well, a lot of the folks that were taking yoga training were mental health therapists, PhDs. They wanted to help their clients with yoga and meditation on top of, the traditional mental health therapies, right? So over the years, I saw this being something that therapists wanted to learn. So I already have the yoga and meditation background, the iRest yoga nidra. And so to combine that with the mental health therapies, to have a one-stop shop, when I go to my primary care doctor and my therapist, they all know what I do for a living. So they're like, oh, we know you're fine with yoga and meditation. But that's the first thing that doctors recommend. They're like, go practice yoga, meditate. And then people are like, well, where do I go?
Yeah.
Who do I practice with? So that's where I, thought to have a one-stop shop. Folks can receive, different therapies, practice yoga, and just have a healing center. So that's my vision.
That is incredible.
And I have probably about another year and a half. I'm looking at May of 2024. I was very ambitious and began the program full time and tapered it down to a pace that is more sustainable for, operating a couple businesses and,
yes, I do.
Single parenting, that whole thing. So.
Yes, I do. I get all that. I remember when my ex-husband and I first split up, and I just had our two youngest sons at that point. And I decided to go back to school for obvious reasons. And I went back full time, worked 4 part-time jobs. And so I totally understand.
Yes.
And I'm sure a lot of my listeners totally get it too. But what an inspiration. I mean, you think back to where you started and to where you are now. I mean, what incredible leaps and bounds in success, and through different journeys in your life. And it's just come to this point where now, I feel in the years that I've known you and the growth, it's like just this beautiful transformation, right? And transitions, and the way we just move from one day to the next, and allowing the universe to guide and direct. But I really think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm just so excited for you. I cannot wait to stop by the shop, and I'm going to be doing some field trips this Saturday. So your for Inner Sage is definitely on the list. But I just want to say thank you so much again, Jamie, for being here. And I want to thank all my listeners for being here. And Dragonfly listeners, you can learn more about Inner Sage if you go to my website at fordragonfliesandme.com, and obviously Jamie's at innersagelife.com/about us. And thank you again, Jamie, for sharing your story with all of my listeners.
You are so welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Jean.
You're welcome. So listeners, please follow me here and at my blog at fordragonfliesandme.com. And if you have not visited me on Facebook, please like and follow me there for daily inspiration, recipes, and gorgeous photos. Until next time, friends, happy day.